Well, here's the big moment. We're doing something I've never done before. I've never let any pictures of any deer I'm hunting out on social media or anything, just because you don't know what neighbors or something see it and oh my gosh, I have a picture of that deer too. I better start doing something for it. So I normally don't, but changed my mind on that. People need to see it. Come on, we're gonna take a look at him. But as of right now, July 14th, this is my #1 buck. 15 years on these farms. We just get this one new farm. Never had any of that stuff on there, but that's where they were living. Full sport. But look at the bases on him. That's what I like about him, just the mass and just unique character about this deer. All right, I'm just looking through some pictures here. We've got cell cameras, but I wouldn't grab the cards because a couple big ones have showed up, and just goes to show you how things change. You know, all early season I was setting up for a couple deer that I thought would blow this year, and you know, planning on those. And of course, you know, cameras will tell you differently. You just throw all that out the window because the ones I was thinking would really blow didn't. I mean, they've gotten bigger, but they didn't really make those big jumps that you're looking for. But a couple other ones that I wasn't anticipating would blow that good have. So there's one place we got a new farm, and I have a couple deer that were on one of our farms, but just very sparingly. I mean, the 10-point was there, you know, quite a bit, but last year I just thought maybe somebody shot him because he just never showed up like late season. He was just kind of gone. And there's another buck I call Sporky that had a couple pictures of 2 years ago and only one last year. But we got this new farm that's right by that one, and we just put a camera there. We didn't even have time to put food plots in or anything, but we put a camera out there, and there was a picture of him. I mean, and the 10, both of the two on there, like two pictures of them in that place. And so just on a hunch, just like, you know, I wonder the Big 10 hasn't been showing up on the farm that he normally is at. And I was like, when I was gone, we were gone up at our cabin for a couple of weeks, and I had Steven, I said, hey, go put a pile of corn out and a camera in that bay where we had the camera last year. And sure enough, bang, 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 the first night, both those deer are there, and they're there like every day now. So far, it's really changing me up on that, because those two are deer that are definitely on my hit list. They're both 6, and even Sporky might be 7. So basically what we're going to do in this episode is I'm changing gears. You know, that one of our first episodes, I was looking for the side-by-side deer and a couple other ones, and they're still there. But you know, I was looking for him to put both side-by-sides on the 3s and 4s, and he put it on the opposite side that he had last year. And he'll put it all together, I'm pretty sure, at some point, but you just don't know what age that's going to be. But our new farm that's right next to it has a couple big deer on it. So I've never even hunted that farm, haven't hardly even been on it that much, other than to put those cameras out. So we're going to go and I'm going to try to look at this bay. I'm going to get a couple more cameras on there. I'm going to make some mock scrapes and try to get some pictures of him and some video on our Tacticam of him, and get a really close look at both of these two deer. Then I'm going to check out this bay. Like I said, it's never even hunted it before. So I'm going to check for trees. You know, is there tree stand sites? There's corn in there now, which was just going to be, you know, row crop corn. But so now I got to see, okay, how is that corn looking in there? They eating a lot of it out. I got how much of it? I'm going to save some of that in there. And then if they've eaten out on the ends, you know, do I need to put turnips in there or clover fields or whatever? Just kind of basically get the whole lay of this little bay right here. And I need to make sure that I've got stands or blinds or setups for every single wind direction that we could have. Now, like for me, a lot of times I'll just look at the moon guide. This is the same thing that I do for like velvet scouting and stuff like that. I'll look at the moon guide and I'll just see what the red moon days are. So I don't want to waste my time going out on days that aren't good. If I only have a limited amount of time, so if I'm going to go out and look at velvet scouting or whatever, I'm going to look at a moon guide and see what are those best days to go out. So right now, I'm going to look at October. And you can see the red moon starts on the 2nd. So that just tells me that I got to be done elk hunting by October 1st. I need to be back here. Anyway, we're going to go out and get a couple of mock scrapes up. I'm going to check out for trees and see what I got there, because I've never hunted there before. And then we'll get that stuff set up before too long here. We'll get the food plot planted in there and have all the setups before I go out west. Everything will be set, and make a prediction right now. October 2nd, the start of the red moon. October 2nd, the Big Ten goes down. Prediction.
Ballsy.
I didn't even give it till the 3rd.
October 2nd.
They're just, both of those deer are just super regular right now. And that could totally change. That could totally change by then. But now that I've got them locked in, I'm going to keep them locked in. Okay, we're here in the bay where these big bucks have been coming. And like I said, I was in here shed hunting just real quick. But I didn't really know kind of the setup. And it's got a fence along that side over there too. So you kind of know where they're coming from, even though there's a tree on the fence over there. They could cross that right there. But for right now, I want to get some close-ups of these bucks, like maybe hitting these, like rubbing branches or something like that. You know, we might want to put a scent dripper in here and stuff. And here's like one spot that looks like they've already been kind of hitting that in the past. So I could put a scrape here, and that's kind of what we do like on our Illinois farms. And we have, you know, farms in places that you can't bait at all. And like here in Iowa, we can, not during the hunting season, but in the off season you can. And you see I've got a corn pile I just put here, because I just had a hunch they might be coming here. And so when I was gone, we had that corn pile and boom, they were right here. It's just the hunch that I had that both these two deer were living here was spot on. They're right here. But this is exactly what we do like in Illinois. We just look for, you know, if you spot a deer, see them out in an alfalfa field or a bean field, and you see where they're going in and out, and they find something like this, and put a scent dripper, a wildlife research scent dripper on there, make a mock scrape for them, get a camera on it, you start getting, bang, right away, you start getting inventory of those bucks. So I'm gonna do that here as well, even though I got, you know, pictures of them coming up here. I don't like coming in here a whole bunch, especially now we're getting a little later in the day, we probably ran deer out of here. But I do need to find trees, and like I said, for every specific wind. I saw one good one went over there for like a northwest wind, that would be awesome. And that good thing is, this is kind of a bay here, and on the other side of that fence, it drops down. This is really a ditchy farm. And so, man, if we have even a southwest wind, if I get up the field far enough, I don't want to be right at the end here, because, you know, they could be bedding right here. I look around here, obviously they took the tractors around here when they planted the corn out here, but it is so full of deer crap out in here. You can tell they have been just bedding right in here, laying in here, going feeding. You see this cornfield. It's like it's going to be a food plot in here, but they just put corn in there as a placeholder, so they have something to go. You can look at it, they've just wiped it out. So the deer are just bedding right here. And so what I want to do is, I don't want to be on this end where they're coming out. I want to be part way up the field. And especially if we got any southwest wind going that way, or even southeast, or any south wind. If it's straight south, look, we're just going to be SOL. We might just have to let it go, but that's normally not the case. It's normally a westerly, and hopefully you get a north wind, and they're 100% home free here. But if it is southwest, I don't want to be too close, because you don't know, they could be bedding right back in there and coming out. But if I feel if I'm farther up the field, it goes right over that ditch, and they're bedding back in here, they come out here, I'm safe wind-wise. So I try to get, you know, quarter way up the field or something. It looks like a good tree there, possibly. This side will just be for east winds, and we get a lot of those. And, you know, you just hate to have the red moon phase and say, okay, this is a perfect day, and have a week of east wind and you don't have a setup. So we'll put an east wind setup. We'll have, you know, obviously for anything north, but the only thing that'll be a problem if it's straight south. But that's normally not the case. We'll just have to gamble on that. That's not going to be. So anyway, I'm going to we'll walk up these edges and see if there's another spot to put a camera for a scrape, and we'll pick out those trees. I'm not going to put the stands up right now, but we're going to pick out the trees, and we can always, you know, if we needed to, we could put a ground blind in the standing corn up there, but we won't need to. This is like the ideal setup. All the way across this thing is only, this little bay here is 50 yards, 40 yards. It's going to be a slam dunk. We take this corn out, I'll put in amazing grains and clover, and I'll leave the corn about to where it starts having ears on it again. And I'm going to leave a big chunk of corn up there too, so I could even mow some of that corn up there or whatever. So they come out here because they're used to coming anyway. We'll have amazing grains with peas and wheat and oats and all the amazing grain mix in there, and clover. I'm gonna put that for clover for next year. As the amazing grains gonna be a cover crop. But they're gonna come out in here, and if they want to head up to that corn, they're gonna walk anywhere in this middle. It's gonna be a 20-yard shot. This is the setup you dream of. And I got two big bucks here, And I guarantee you at least one of them will still be on this pattern, still hitting this in 2 months, 3 months from now. And one of those big ones is going down right here. See how tucked in that is? But it's a perfect size. It's a big oak, you know, and it's that big around, nice and solid. You don't have to worry about if it's windy, that it's gonna be blowing you around. Perfect little hole. We'll trim out some of the stuff so we can get a shot out here. But that's one spot. It's fairly close to this end. But we saw a cluster up here, might even be better, but we know we're gonna have it 100%. That's gonna be a good spot. Yeah. How much more money could you want? Look at, and this, we got cedars in front of it for cover. We put the stand high right up there where you're just looking over the top of those cedars. It's gonna be like you're in a bird's nest in that thing. That'll be our new eagle's nest. And look at that, you got cover this way, and this will all be, at least, I like being this way too. You can see him coming, so you get prepared, you get your bow ready, camera guys can get ready. By the time he starts walking up this way, you stop him right here. Like I said, it's only 30 yards across. Okay, that's a for sure. On that side, if it's an east wind, we got a big tree right across from it. Look at that one for an east wind. And you got ditch down that side, steep ditch down this side, any east or west. If it's north, doesn't matter, northeast or northwest, game over. Even southeast, southwest, game over. It's so steep down both sides of those. Money spot right here. This is another money spot right here. I love these kind of clusters, like basswoods and different trees like that. You can see that big cluster. You get stands in there and stuff. You can stay so hidden in there. And that's an awesome spot too, because it's a little farther away from down there. You know, when if you have this in wheat and like our amazing grains from Analogics, and you got corn out there and you start cutting some corn out there, they've worked through it. It's always that green to grain transition. And you need nice greens in here, and they go up to those grain fields. You know they're gonna come up this far. So this would be a better choice if you had like a southwest, and just stay farther back from it, so that any west in it at all, you're staying way back from where they're coming out from down there. And you could have more time, more pre-roll of them coming up here, more time to get ready and everything else. And it's not that far. It's 100 yards from that end. You know, they can make it up a field 100 yards in no time. But maybe I can put them in both of those spots. And then you got, you know, a big tree over here too if you needed to. I think the top is broken off of it, but it's still alive. But you get very few east winds. I think just one east wind setup would be fine. And then it looks like they've eaten it out, you know, right up to the end there. So we'll have to just leave a big piece out there. And I doubt you get any ears on this. So you can see that there's, you know, starting to get a little, the silk phase with the deer just wiped this out back here. But that's why you put the corn in here. Give them this to eat right now. Like I said, corn leaves have the same protein level as beans do. A lot of people don't realize that. So let them eat this out right now. Let them get used to coming to this bay, and that's why we added that corn down there, corn pile there, just to make sure that they're all, you know, we get pictures of them. But this is where they're eating. And wherever there starts to get corn, that's where we'll leave a big section of corn out there. We'll put this, we'll take it out, I'll rototill it up and put it into Amazing Grains. And this is an absolute money spot. Brand new farm we just got. But that's the spot, that's the spot, that's the spot. And now we're gonna make a scrape. And I think we have to put it on that. It's a perfect spot. It's, you know, it's not a good spot for a camera, and I didn't bring a T-post or anything. But that's the spot right there. It's right in between the two stands. It's far enough down that way that they'll find it right away with that scrape dripper. So let's see if we can, maybe we can find a spot for a camera on that. Okay, so these are the things that I always use early season. One is that Magnum scrape dripper. Using these for 20 years, and you know, for our, not just, you know, a lot of people think of it during the rut and everything else, but I mostly use them to get scrapes started and get these early season pictures of them. And of course it carries right into the rut and everything else. I usually get them out this time of year, middle of July, and they start getting their horns and stuff. Even when they shed, they still hit all these scrapes. So we're gonna get this going over there. I actually have the active cam too, and that works really good. A lot of times not on a scrape dripper, but if I'm just putting cameras out, like on our Illinois farm or something, just get some of this scent out in front of them along a field edge. A lot of times they'll come over, just a curiosity scent. They come over and smell that, and this has worked really good for me down on our Illinois farm, where you have like a big alfalfa field or something, tons of deer coming out. And I put a camera like on one of the trails, but I put this out, and I normally always get a ton of pictures on that too. But for here, we're gonna put some urine in that.
And what's the scent of that one? What's the flavor?
Of what?
The one you're putting in.
This is golden scrape. So golden scrape is basically a buck urine. And it just, so, you know, you make those scrapes in these early season ones, it just smells like another buck, you know, just all these big community scrapes on these field edges, every buck will hit them. So you just need to get it started with something, and then they'll come and hit it every day, because every buck will start hitting it. What I like doing these active scrapes, you don't want them low like on these overhanging ones here, because they get their horns caught in them and rip them off. So you try to find a branch up way above it that you want to start it on. Sometimes I'll just drive my Ranger up here and sit in the back, but I can probably pull some of these down. Like this one is probably, not that they can't reach that, like they stand on their hind legs a lot of times, but I kind of want it right over the scrape too. But these are the ones that they're mostly hitting these branches, so I'll kind of get it out on this one. And get it up pretty high on there and let that drip. I can see it now though. That buck will come here just like the Big Ten did last year, and it'll be literally 10 yards in front of me. It'll be too close to shoot. You won't see it until it gets out farther, but all you gotta do is walk another 5 steps there and bam, you'll have a 10-yard shot at him. That doesn't drip right on top of that stick there. So then I can squeeze a little bit out and kind of see where that hits, so I know where to make the scrape exactly. Just where we thought. You can tell this is probably an old scrape before anyway. All these are dead. See less there. But a good trick to do, like, right, I didn't have any like Roundup at my house, but a lot of times I got my backpack sprayer. And I'll go by with my 4-wheeler and just go down along the edge of my food plots in a place like this, hit them with Roundup. You don't even have to do anything else, because it's hard for them to scrape in these tall weeds when they're really green and stuff, but when it's totally dead spot where they've been scraping naturally anyway, it's just really easy for them to get through that grass and down into the dirt. But we're gonna help this one out, do it for them. Okay, so these are some things that you never wanna go putting out cameras or anything like that. You never wanna be without this. I got a steel, that's just an electric weed whip, electric chainsaw, and this green machine is awesome. Like now it's been so dry, but you go through the grass, knock all the grass down. With this, it works great. It's just a hedge trimmer, but I always do electric stuff. I don't want to be starting up any, gas-powered anything right now when where we're going to be hunting. So these green machine, the hedge trimmers, okay, so you can see how fast that knocks all that grass down. Anytime you're using a camera, if you leave this tall grass up like this, even anywhere close to it, you get a windy day, that grass is moving, all of a sudden you got 10,000 pictures of a piece of grass. So this works great for knocking that tall grass down. Just so wherever you have your camera, you want to get all that tall grass out so you don't get any false pictures. And once I get it down, you don't need it, it's just the high stuff that's swaying around. And then once we have that, now let's take that weed eater. But you see how fast that was? Just get the tall stuff down so you don't get false pictures. With an electric weed whip, right down to the dirt immediately. And that's the only thing those deer are looking for. Right now, like I said, you got that tall grass. It's almost impossible to get down to the dirt. You give them the dirt, give them the scent dripper, they'll be in here immediately. So I'll clean that out a little bit more. Get down into the wet dirt. Get some some hoof scrape marks in there. Did I give that a couple of squeezes? And there we are, it's done. So see how fast that works. If you come out here with none of this electric stuff, you're there pulling grass and kicking, it'll take you half an hour, it'll take me 10 minutes. So right now, I don't have a stake, so I'm gonna maybe cut a piece of that log off, stand it up in that, and put it right on this piece of log here. I knew that was coming off, that chain was loose.
Yeah.
Before I put it, I was going to tighten it, and then I forgot. But anyway, did the job. So for right now, since I don't have a fence post, I'm going to stick that log in there like that. Then I'll trim some of this back. Perfect spot for a camera right there. Okay, like I say, see how fast that is? You know, you got that grass out of there. Hedge trimmer, electric chainsaw, electric weed whip, bam. 10 minutes, you got a mock scrape right there. I'm gonna go grab the camera and set it up. All right, on our way out here, I got a camera set up already. So that's the one that we set up, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll put the camera up. And we'll be done, and then we'll get out of here. Could probably come around this way a little bit with it. Okay, got the solar panel up. We need that to be a little more over this way. Okay, I can't read what it says. Maybe it says entry work mode, but I thought it shut off. But yeah, because it does the work mode and GPS location. Formatted that SD card. Grab the card out of that so we can look at the pictures and the videos on that. Let's get out of here. Well, here's the big moment. We're doing something I've never done before. I've never let any pictures of any deer I'm hunting out on social media or anything, just because you don't know what neighbors or something see it and oh my gosh, I have a picture of that deer too. I better start doing something for it. So I normally don't, but changed my mind on that. People need to see it. Okay, we're just getting some pictures. This is Sporky. Come around here, I'll show you him. And like you said, he's super huge bases. I've got sheds off him before, and I'll show you pictures of when he was 3 years old or 4 years old, how long these points were. So I'm assuming he's gonna put a lot more length on these, and he had drop tines and stuff and stickers, but he always had it. I call him Sporky because back at 3 it's flat palmated out on the end, and it looks like a hand out on the end, or like a spork on there. But I only had, like on our farm that we have now, I only had like a couple pictures of that deer, and then we just bought this farm, and we had a couple pictures back in here, but there was no food on that. We didn't even have it planted, and we had some pictures of him. So you look at him, you know, but he's got huge bases, and he'll be bigger than you think. But that isn't my number one deer. That isn't the one I'm really looking for. But I just know that's an old deer. And he's cool. He had a big drop tine out of here, and he had a bunch of stickers out his sides and stuff. But like now, he's got some side by sides here, side by sides. But the biggest thing was the beam length and point length and stuff back 2 years ago. That kind of maybe draw some attention to him. But then when I found a shed last year, I had like one picture of him on our farm and he had a big drop tine that kind of comes out over the top. And then the next picture, his whole side was broken off. And then when we were shed hunting over here, like I only had one picture of that deer and then one here. So it kind of was out of my mind. And then we went on shed hunting in here and I found just, I mean, the base is like this big around and just that big drop tine piece. I said, oh, he's living right there. So that's when it came to mind. I was like, hey, let's just drop a pile of corn out here. Take the Ranger and put some corn and some Analogics base mix in there. And the first day, boom, there he is. And this is a deer like over the last 3 years. I had like literally like 4 pictures of him in 3 years. And then I put out here and bang, he's there every single day. But this isn't my number 1 deer. The other deer is a big 10 that was on our other farm, and he just had a nice big frame at 3 and at 4 and then at 5. Last year he had kind of narrower frame, and he always had a sticker out by the end like it's 4. Now this year he put a side-by-side 3 up, and he put the width on again, and he doesn't have the height yet because it's still only middle of July, but he's a big, I know he's gonna put up the height and everything like he always had, but now he's got even more mass, width, and a side-by-side. So he should be in here. We'll look through these pictures here. We'll keep going, but that's Sporky. That's one of them. Not that he'd be like my number 1, but it was just like it was awesome to find him. You know, after all these years, just wondering what the heck he did, and then little fawns. Okay, here he is. Now this is I'm not going to guarantee that I'm not going to find a better one, and maybe be on to another one, just like we did from the split G3 buck to this one. But as of right now, July 14th, this is my number 1 buck, and even if it's not my number 1, if they're even bigger ones, this might still be I might just take this one anyway because I just love this spot. We just went and put it up, but come on, we're gonna take a look at him. Okay, see, he chasing some little bucks off. He's right here. He's still got a long ways to go. We'll go to the next one. Like I said, you can look at, he's got tremendous height. He always has, and he'll put, another 4 inches on these, more on his beam. And so I've seen this deer 100 times. Like last year, I went to look at him at 5, and he was just the first time, a typical 10, he didn't have that extra sticker or anything on him, and he was narrower than he'd ever been in the past. I was like, well, let's leave him to 6. Because we really don't like shooting deer at 5 anyway. Just about everything we kind of let go to 6. And, so that's one that now at 6, he blew back up again. He put this inside point. He's got the width again, and he's kind of put it all back together. So as of right now, he's like my number 1, just because I have a lot of history with him. I love that deer, even though we have some higher scoring ones I see in some other farms, but I'm going to go do the same thing over there. We're getting some pictures of some of these, and it just depends on how they finish out too. Here's Sporky. Let's see some video of him. He's big too, and I just love that deer, just with the history that I've had with the old Sporks. It's funny how these deer, we just thought that they were ghosts, and they really weren't. You weren't on the right farm. It's weird because it just goes to show you we have all these food plots, feeders, you have everything on these farms for 15 years on these farms. We just get this one new farm, never had any of that stuff on there, but that's where they were living. And a lot of times we got a lot of deer on our farms that we've managed them for a long time, and some deer just don't like to have all the social pressure. And some of them are just maybe not aggressive and stuff, and they'll come on there. We got pictures of them there, but they just don't like spend a lot of time there because there's just a lot of deer. The social pressure is too much for them. But look at him, he's.
Are you worried about bumping him out? Like, you feel like your chances are like, you got to get him early, or he's going to figure you out and move on again? What are you thinking there?
Yeah, and I don't think you have much of a chance of bumping him out because look, we just left there literally 20 minutes ago. We were there for half an hour, putting up a camera, making that scrape, video and picking out the trees, all that stuff. Literally we left 30 minutes and they were back in there. So they're used to people, they're used to us, they're used to being around, especially when, that's what I really like about being able to use minerals and a lot of our Analogics products, like the liquid stuff, and because every time we go to these places, I like to put something out for them, whether it be mineral or some corn or something so that they just associate me with something positive for 9 months of the year. And they get used to us, and they get used to people. And so then when it gets to hunting season, you hunt it the same way. like once a week or a couple times a week or something, like they're used to seeing us a couple times a week as it is now. So really, you want to get your deer to where July doesn't look any different to them than November looks to them. You're in these fields a couple days a week, and that's it. And they're used to us. So then when we get to hunting season, we do everything scent control wise, spray down with the wildlife research and do everything. And now they get a whiff of you. It's not like they're okay with it. But now when you've done everything, they're still gonna smell you. But they think, oh, he was here 20 minutes ago, or he's 200 yards away, or he was here an hour ago. They don't realize you just need to cut your scent down enough to where they think that they don't know that you're 20 yards away in a tree. All they need to know is they're going to smell you, but once you cut that scent way down with, with the sprays and soaps and everything that we do, they might think you were there an hour ago, or maybe you're 200 yards away at the barn. They don't realize that you're sitting 20 yards away. So at least they get a little whiff of you. They're not, they're not blowing and going. They'll do the head bob, the foot stomp, and look around, nothing, get the tail wag, and they walk on. And that's when you won the game. And a lot of that comes down to spending time out there. And like we used to even write articles about, hey, just stay out of it. No, you got to keep it totally unpressured, everything, stay out of there. But then you go in there to hunt, and bang, there's somebody in there. It's like, boom, they're on red alert and they're gone. And that's why I think a lot of people say, oh, deer know when hunting season is. It gets 2 weeks before hunting season and they all go nocturnal. Well, most of that is that these deer have had 9 months of not a soul around, no people, no intrusion, no anything, and all of a sudden you get to that September time frame, everybody starts thinking deer, and they're out in the woods getting stands up, doing all this stuff. And all of a sudden there's 9 months of nothing, all of a sudden all this commotion, and turns them nocturnal, and they think that, oh, they knew it was October 1st was hunting season. No, it's just pretty much because the whole month of September you're up putting stands up and you weren't in there at all summer. So for us, like I said, we don't like November isn't going to look any different to a deer than July for us. So a couple times a week we go out and check cameras, maybe we'll put out some mineral or put out some liquid stuff, or if it's at a feeder, hit the feeder, let a little feed come out, like in this case here, put a little bit more corn out for them. So they're kind of getting to the point, like, if you ever bear hunted, you're bear baiting, it's like a lot of times by the third day you're driving a Ranger or your four-wheeler out there and they hear it coming and bears are standing there waiting for you. And it's obviously deer are not the same in that aspect, but they hear you coming and say, hey, I wonder if he hit the feeder again, whatever. So, that's what we like to do. We like to spend time out there, and that way deer are not just totally panicked when it comes to hunting season. Well, there it is, the Big Ten in Sporky. You got to come up with a name for the Big Ten. So I'll call it again. The first day of the red moon is October 2nd. Big Ten, whatever name we come up with your time is limited. I'm calling it right now. Mark my words, October 2nd, Big Ten is down. So next time you see him, hopefully we'll be with a grip and grin with me on him on October 2nd. So be watching for that episode. Thanks for watching, and hit subscribe, and see you next week. Gee, I just love looking at him. Here's the old Sporky, but look at the bases on him. That's what I like about him, just the mass and just unique character about this deer.